I'd like to call the special meeting of January 13th, 2014 to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cooterick.
Present.
Ms. Bowles.
Here.
Ms. Kraut.
Here.
Mr. Thied.
Present.
Ms. Funderburg.
Here.
Ms. Beard.
Here.
Ms. Buckley is here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion for approval of the agenda, please.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we approve the agenda as presented for the special
Support.
meeting.
Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mrs. Kraut. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. The next item on the agenda is executive session for negotiations. Can I please have a motion to go into executive session?
Madam Chair, I make a motion we go into executive sessions pertaining to negotiations.
Support. Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mrs. Funderburg, to go into executive session. Roll call.
Mr. Cooterick.
Yes.
Ms. Bowles.
Yes.
Ms. Kraut.
Yes.
Mr. Thied.
Yes.
Ms. Buckley, yes. Ms. Funderburg.
Yes.
Ms. Beard.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we reconvene from executive session.
Support. I have a motion by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mrs. Funderburg, to come out of executive session. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cooterick.
Yes.
Ms. Bowles. Yes. Ms. Kraut.
Yes.
Mr. Thied.
Yes.
Ms. Funderburg.
Yes.
Ms. Beard.
Yes.
Ms. Buckley votes yes.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we adjourn from our special meeting.
Support. Okay, motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mr. Thied, to adjourn out of our special meeting at 6:06 PM. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay. I'd like to call our meeting, our regular meeting of January 13th, 2014 to order. Could I have roll call, please?
Mr. Cooterick.
Yes.
Ms. Bowles. Yes. Ms. Kraut.
Here.
Mr. Thied.
Present.
Ms. Funderburg.
Here.
Ms. Beard.
Present.
Ms. Buckley is here.
Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I just want to let everybody know I don't want to be rude tonight. I'm going to be leaving at 7:15, and I'll be handing the gavel over to our Vice President, Mrs. Funderburg, to continue the meeting. And I'll just quietly get up and leave so the meeting can progress. Oh. My son is receiving a recognition from the city for receiving his Eagle Scout rank tonight, so I'm very happy and proud. Okay, could I have approval of the agenda, please?
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Support. Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mrs. Funderburg, to approve, this is a consent agenda, to approve the minutes of the Board of Education for the regular meeting of December 9th, 2013, and the special meeting of December 17th, 2013. To approve the personnel actions as submitted by Rebecca Pack, Director of Human Resources. Resignations, accounting bookkeeper, second grade teacher, math teacher, and ELA teacher. Retirement of superintendent. Employment of a payroll benefits coordinator, secretary 2, and second grade teacher. Item C, approval to approve the bills for payment as submitted by Anna Bosides in the amount of $1,938,321.79. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. The next item on the agenda is our interim superintendent appointment.
Do we even have a motion for that in here?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
We don't have a motion.
It was in there. It's in your packet.
saw it.
so busy.
Where's it at?
Right after the last check register.
Oh, the check.
I thought
Okay.
it's there. I saw it. It's right after the check register. Very first sheet.
You ready there, Madam Chair?
Yeah. Mrs. Peck? Send it over to you for the,
Okay, the board president has asked me to describe the process that we used for the interim position. This position was posted right before the holidays upon receipt of resignation, retirement of Dr. Daniels. We posted the position for both internal and external applicants. We received 37 applicants through our electronic system. Of those 37 applicants, 5 were brought forward to a subcommittee of the Board of Education. The subcommittee of the Board of Education reviewed all 5 applicants and are bringing forward 1 applicant today for appointment to interim superintendent position.
I have a motion. Actually, our choice that we made was to appoint Mrs. Marge McAnally as interim superintendent of the Romulus Community Schools. Could I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, recommend the motion, move the Board of Education appoint Miss Margie McAnally as interim superintendent for the Romulus Community Schools.
Question. Support.
Motion made by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Mrs. Buckley. Discussion, Mrs. Bowles?
Okay. I just want to make sure that I make this noted on record. Have anything, nothing personal against anyone. I feel that we need someone that has experience as a superintendent with working with our school district with a deficit budget. I personally believe, this is my personal position, that people should be placed in positions based on qualifications, not based on who they know or who they are related to family-wise in the district or how long they've been working within the district. If this is taking place, I'm not saying it is, but if this is taking place around the school district, I believe that this is favoritism with maybe even the possibility of becoming a lawsuit in the future. Our previous superintendent, interim superintendent, I believe, had experience as a superintendent from a different school district. And I personally would like to request that this be a major criteria for filling the position of interim superintendent once again. So I just wanted to make that statement of how I personally feel about it. It's nothing personal against anybody, but I had to make sure I put that out there.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Well, I just wanted to make known that the qualifications that we put forth in our posting was met by the candidate.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Kudrick and supported by Mrs. Buckley.
Just let them know that the contract will be posted.
Yes, the interim superintendent contract is also a document of public information, so it will be posted on the website.
And that the interim position is 6 months, so up until June 30th.
That's if they accept it.
Right,
If
and
the-
there,
if it's
if it's accepted, and there will be a formal, still a formal superintendent search being done also, so,
You want to do roll call, Tracy?
yes, please. Roll call vote.
Mr. Kudrick,
Yes.
Ms. Bowles,
No.
Ms. Kraut,
Yes.
Mr. Theed,
Yes.
Ms. Funderburk,
Yes.
Ms. Beard,
Yes.
Ms. Buckley votes yes.
The motion passes by a vote of 6-1.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
should we have our candidate sign that contract so we can put them in the seat for the next presentations?
I know,
think
right?
it's
Mrs.
very
McAnally, would you like to
important,
join us, please?
Oh, you have to join.
because the next presentations are important that she should be involved in.
Yes. Come on up.
She gets
And
a short chair,
I'm assuming we're
right?
taking this as an assumption that you have accepted our offer.
You can't say no now.
I cannot say no now. I said
Right.
yes.
Cannot say no now.
That's great. Okay.
I'm here to do what we need to have done.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda, I'd like to introduce, we have a couple of guests in our audience tonight. I'd like to introduce Representative Doug Geis, who's going to discuss with us the Inkster dissolution update. And also in our audience as a visitor tonight, we have Kathy Mary, our Wayne Risa representative who handles all the legislative matters for the county. Representative Geis.
Thank you.
And if you could use the mic, please, so that our home viewers can hear you.
Yes.
It's mine and yours.
That's yours.
All right. Well, good evening, and thank you for having me. Really, there's kind of two issues. There's the state issues and the disinvestment in our schools that lead to what we're dealing with Inkster. So I'd like to start off with how I spent my summer vacation. That's not what I have written down here, but basically, I wanted to bring you up to date on what's going on with the state, which leads us to what happened with Inkster schools and Buena Vista and where we stand right now.
You want to take that out, or you feel more?
Well, either which way. And I really don't want to read this, but this, or read directly off this. It is a lengthy report that you have in front of you, and so the details are there. I won't get into that because I think it's really important that we spend the most of the time on where we stand right now and get the interim superintendent up to speed. I had been working with Superintendent Daniels, who I thought had done an excellent job and kept her abreast to keep you abreast of what was going on. So from May through September of last year, the House Democratic Education Task Force met with educators, researchers, professors, university presidents, and superintendents across Michigan, gathering information about programs and ideas that would provide real solutions to Michigan's struggling schools. I was one of those members. We traveled to Marquette, here in Wayne County, Washtenaw County, Grand Rapids, throughout the state to get information. And what I don't believe, what's occurring right now is the Education Achievement Authority is not the solution. The solution that we think is the step that we need to take is in three parts, which again are in greater detail. There are copies in the back. But first, educational professionals will go into a struggling public school and work with educators, parents, students, and community members to do a review resulting in an action plan designed for specific issues and challenges of that school. The second step calls for the Michigan Department of Education to do a study to determine what it actually costs to educate our students. That has not been done. This study will give policymakers a better understanding of the investment needed to educate students given all the services that schools provide. And we know from the look at what Romulus schools provides and what other choices provide, they do not have the same level of special needs students. They do not have busing that they provide, but yet the mantra in Lansing is that we need to treat all students fairly and give them the same amount of money, when in reality many of these other choices are for profit. And we know if you look at a corporation's, if they are a for-profit corporation, their number one responsibility is to return the most money to the shareholders. And so the primary focus of many of these other choices is not the students. The third step outlines our plan to level the playing field among our traditional public schools, charter schools, and now online schools. And there are many more education choices, as I've mentioned. And today many schools are struggling, which led to the dissolution of the Inkster Public Schools and the Buena Vista Public Schools, which occurred at the last minute. And you all know the timeline. The legislation was introduced at the beginning of June. It was passed at the end of June, signed into law at the beginning of July. The school district, Inkster School District, was dissolved towards the end of July. And then the Romulus School District, Taylor School District, Wayne Westland School District, and Westwood School District were left to scramble. And we've heard about the social impact in that the kids didn't even have a chance to say goodbye to their teachers. The alumni of those schools didn't have a chance to say goodbye to their building, which leads us to really why I haven't come to give you the original report, is I, like all of you, since September, have been struggling with the fact that you're getting $10,000 a month water bills, and that we're having people breaking and entering these buildings, stealing the air conditioning units off. You experienced from your maintenance personnel having to leave Romulus, travel great distances with your machinery to cut lawn. Now, what I have done in that period of time is document, and we've taken pictures of the condition of the Inkster School District. I've shown those to the folks in Lansing. We also did that for the other buildings that Taylor inherited. And so literally every single day that I was on the House floor, the original sponsor of the dissolution bill, I kept on going up to him and said, you created this problem. Now we need to find a solution. I'm not going to backtrack. You can't go back and say you shouldn't have done it. But we do need to learn lessons learned from this. And to make certain that we're not holding the kids in Romulus, that they're not harmed. Because in reality, we did pick winners and losers in this dissolution. Westwood did not get any buildings, but they got the per pupil funding plus the 10%. Westland got 1 building. Romulus, you know what you got. Taylor got 3 buildings. And the cost sheet that is in front of you is the money that is projected to cost the Romulus School District nearly $1 million to basically maintain the buildings, secure the buildings, and if need be, demolish the buildings, which the per pupil funding does not cover. That is supposed to go towards transportation, education, all those things that we normally deal with. So the good news is, and I do want to recognize Kathy Mary. Kathy Mary put this spreadsheet together and has been with me at the meetings with the governor's representatives, the Michigan Department of Education's representatives, and gosh, there were about 30 people in the room, including Romulus's superintendent at that meeting, to lay out in much greater detail what you've all been experiencing. I know it's been frustrating for you to live it day to day. It's been frustrating to me to have to really have to go through this exercise. But the good news is that I have a commitment, and we have boilerplate language that has been drafted to do a special one-time appropriation of $5 million to be split evenly between the receiving school districts of Inkster as well as Buena Vista. And you can see from the projections here, the total comes out to be just below $2.5 million for an entire year. Now that $2.5 million will cover Romulus's the anticipated $162,000 in utility costs, the projected $2,000 in insurance costs, maintenance and building of buildings and grounds of $67,000, and really the real eye-opener is the estimated demolition costs of nearly $760,000 for the Inkster High School. Now that comes to $1 million. Now what I wanted, and I have commitments that we will have this addressed by the end of February. Now, we're already halfway through January at this point in time, and that's why I really wanted to get everything taken care of in the month of December before we adjourned. But I am going to hold them to that commitment. Over the Christmas recess, I sat down with the Speaker of the House specifically to go over all of this. I have his commitment. I have the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee commitment, as well as the chairman of the House Education Appropriation Committee. What I had been working with and what I need to bring the superintendent up to speed on, there is a discussion that I have had with the mayor of Inkster, Hilliard Hampton, and something that we need to be cognizant of is the people of the city of Inkster, and not only their feelings, but also their sense of community. And in talking with the mayor of Inkster, he has expressed an interest in 2 out of these 5 buildings, specifically Inkster High School, as well as the administration building / elementary school, the building directly across the street. Now, I have cautioned him to not bite off more than he can chew, in that if they take over these 2 buildings and then find that they're in the same position that you are and can't afford the bills, this is one-time money, and it can only go from the state to the ISD to you to do these things. If Inkster takes over the building and then does not proceed or has difficulties, and they are in a deficit situation as well, that they will not have this money. So I know Paula, the former Superintendent Daniels had a meeting with Hilliard. That was a private meeting between the 2 of them. I did not get a status update of those discussions. But what I believe you should do if Inkster wants it is to simply deed it over to them for $1. And then any other costs that have been incurred to date, make sure that you have those well documented, and that once we get this money allocated, that then you'll be reimbursed. So you'll be made whole. If, on the other hand, the mayor of Inkster and the city of Inkster cannot take over the Inkster High School, it is my opinion that literally, as of today, you shut off the utilities and simply, cut off the water line, stop paying the electricity bill. If we're going to demolish this building, there is no real reason, except from your folks. If there are things that can be salvaged, that can be used within the Romulus School District, then of course you don't want flooding in the building and all of those types of things. But and of course, I can't get that in writing from, say, the speaker and the chairman, but I think everybody agrees that it does not make sense to spend any more money on a building that we're simply going to demolish. It doesn't. Why do you care if a pipe bursts, right? Because you're simply going to be tearing out those pipes anyway. And that's really where we're at right now. I'd like to say that I've got a Christmas present tied up in a bow, and I could hand you a check for $1 million tonight. We're not there, but that's why I did ask, and I do appreciate it, Madam President, you affording me the opportunity to speak tonight, and I am here for any questions that you might have.
Did have a couple of questions, Representative Geis. What do you feel that the tone is of the rest of the representatives as far as getting this pushed through? Because, I just really kind of feel like we only have a handful of advocates in Lansing supporting us, and the rest are kind of like, get rid of public education as we know it. So are you feeling pretty optimistic about getting it pushed through, or are we just kind of, hoping and praying?
Well, in the House of Representatives right now, there are you need 56 votes in the House. So you got one here, right? In the Senate, you need 20. So I'll start off with the House. I sat down with the entire House Democratic Caucus and had a very lengthy PowerPoint presentation that I delivered to all of them. I know of only one representative of the Democratic Caucus that is not supportive it has to do with the fact that he represents the school district that was, he just doesn't believe that by voting for it, he's representing the people of Inkster, and I have to respect that. He adamantly spoke out against this legislation when it occurred. So starting off with 49 members there. We'll need another 7. I've mentioned 3 from the Republican side that I believe are there, but I believe that we have the votes.
Okay.
You will probably hear some rhetoric from some folks, when this comes down. I don't expect it to be 110 votes. I will be speaking rather vigorously for its passage, unless I know that we've already secured the votes, and then I may just sit down and be quiet. That's, as you guys probably know, if you know you got the votes, you don't need to stir up the pot. Going over into the Senate, Senator Hopgood, who has also been working on this issue and has been very vocal on this. That he could probably speak better to. There's 13 Democrats that I believe would support it, and we would need 7 Republicans to support it. So again, I don't expect it to be unanimous. I would like to err on the side of optimism right now in terms of if it does not pass, and Kathy has heard me say some things of what my opinion is, and actually I'm going to say it because I'm not one to mince words. It's my opinion that this is an unfunded mandate, a Headley violation, and if this money does not come through, I believe that Romulus School District should simply abandon in place and hold the deeding of the building, the Inkster High School, to the Romulus School District as null and void and illegal. Now, that would mean that you wouldn't be more than likely able to recoup the money that you have spent to date, and it may take some chutzpah on your part to realize that there may be some legal challenges. But instead of playing the victim, we stand up and say, we're not going to take this. This is while it is law, it is a violation of the Constitution of the state of Michigan. And I have said that many times. Now, I hope we don't get to that point. I hope that my colleagues in the House and the Senate do the right thing, and we have been working towards that. But as you know, promises can be broken, and you need to be aware of that. And I've met with the Taylor School District, and they had an off-site meeting, although it was published as an open meeting. There were only a couple people in the audience, and I had that same discussion with them. If I were you, and this does not come through, then I think instead of playing the victims, we need to put our foot down and say enough's enough.
I do have a question. You had mentioned deeding it over for $1. What is the timeline on that? I mean, how do we go about doing that? Because this all, if you're here, this all seems that we need to take care of this pretty quickly. How does this timeline, and how do we go about doing that if that's something we wanted to do?
Well, and that's where literally in mid to late, or in the month of December, Superintendent Daniels was having those discussions with Hilliard-Hampton. And so first item on your plate, and if you do not have the Mayor of Inkster's telephone number, I do. Need to have your superintendent reach out and gauge Inkster's interest in this and give them a deadline to say you need to make a determination. If you want this building, we're happy to sell it to you, get it transferred over to you, get it off of our books. If you are not, then you need to plan accordingly. I mean, right now, and this may negate my previous comment about the deed, some of the pushback that I have gotten in Lansing is, why didn't you simply put this up for sale as soon as you got it? Well, of course, we know that there was a lot that had to be taken care of. There are records in these buildings, and there are trophies in these buildings, and there are, all these other things, the reality of it. But it is yours to do as you please. Now, once the building is, if it is ultimately torn down, you are still in the position of owning a piece of property in Inkster. And so you could put it up for sale. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the president. I'm
that's
used
okay.
to, I'm sorry.
I'm good.
Speaking through the chairman, as the chairman, I used to gavel people.
listen as a group.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
All right. Sorry, it's actually very intimate here. So right now you could sell it to anybody. It's according to the ISD, it's yours.
So if we do sell it, does that go to the debt of Inkster? Does
It
go
goes
To the
to
debt
it
of
goes to the
Inkster.
debt
Right,
of Inkster.
right.
That's
But it's
they
off our
they have
books.
outstanding bonds, and as you know, the way that those buildings and any other liabilities of Inkster that are being paid for right now is the millages that were levied in Inkster go to pay off their bonds. The money that you're getting for the students is actually coming from the state.
Right, yeah.
And on this sheet you gave us, with the building conditions of poor or good or dismal and recommended demolition, who did those figures, do you know? Was that done by the state, or was that done by
That
each
was
district?
done, and I will give Kathy, Mary, and Wayne ISD, number one, part of the reason why this got held up is because Buena Vista did not do what the Wayne Risa ISD did, and with input from each individual school district. And of course, these are, based upon the knowledge. Bills have been coming in, as we speak. So these are our estimates. But again, if we can do this sooner rather than later, the amount that is allocated should be more than enough to cover. And the sooner we make that determination and get these off your books, we end up saving not only the Romulus School District money, but also the state of Michigan money.
Well, I mean, so on here with the condition use of poor and demolition, there's no sense in even renting it out to a company that wanted it because the building is such poor condition, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so which saves us time of even trying to find that,
Right.
someone to do that. Well, you must be lucky to have two districts in your thing that took on schools, huh?
And
How'd you get so lucky, huh?
yeah.
Is there any other advocacy work that you need us to do also as far as promoting this to get the other votes that you need?
Of course,
I mean, there's no point in us writing to you
Yeah.
or.
at this point in time, I've tried to do things to get people to the point that they realize that it's the right thing to do, rather than, say, put an op-ed out there or kind of rub their nose in the issue. And I made that commitment to the original sponsor of the bill. We need to solve the problem. So, of course, I wanted you to let all of you know, because much like myself, I'm hearing from the constituents and from my son goes to school at Holland Elementary, which is the same elementary that both myself and Senator Hopgood went to, as well as Senator Hopgood's daughter goes to, and which was the closest elementary school in Taylor to the Inkster School District. We wound up with some fourth and fifth grade classes with 40, 50 kids. Because of course the kids don't all come in and, even amounts, an even amount in kindergarten, again, as you know. But going to Parent-Teacher Day, we heard that, loud and clear from our fellow parents. And we've also heard of, the social impact of the kids that have come in. And naturally, they want to, group together. And I've heard, issues at the high school here, and, we don't need to belabor that, but And I think over time that will dissipate. But the natural thing is, if I picked up, all of you and put you in a room of, 500 people, you're going to naturally gravitate back to one another just because
Right.
of
Right,
so
you know each other.
right.
Can I ask a question without putting you on the spot? I don't know if it does. If we can get the majority of Democratic back in Lansing, what effect do you see on the schools then? Do you see a lot of the stuff being reversed back and finding more money to put out to the schools again?
Well, and it's not even finding new money. The projections right now is that the revenues are coming back stronger than anyone anticipated. And right now, we're expecting a $1 billion surplus. And some of the first things that are coming up are not to give it back to where it was cut.
Right.
Even with
That's the thinking now, though, right?
that's the thinking now.
Right.
But going
That's what I'm
forward,
saying. Right.
yes, we need to. I believe that my caucus would invest in education, as the report highlights. Let's just not talk anecdotally. Is it more expensive to live in the Detroit metropolitan area as opposed to live in the Upper Peninsula? Well, there you have different employee costs, right? There are many different factors, as you well know. But yes, the simple answer is I believe that we need to at least take back the House of Representatives, such that some of the very onerous things that have come out in the last few years. Now realize when they say that even last year's budget, which I voted against, they said, "Oh, we're giving more money to local schools." Romulus got an extra, I think, $5 per pupil. Now, the charter schools got somewhere between $50 and $100, right? On top of all that, they changed the start date of kindergarten from December 1st to November 1st, which resulted in a loss of $50 on average in your school district. So, and this next year, the start date goes to October 1st. And then finally, it will go to September 1st. And what that worked out to be across the state was about $50 million cut from K through 12 education. This next year, it'll be $100 million, and then finally it'll be $150 million. Now, you saw all the grandiose, public announcements that they had put $50 million into early childhood education. Now, let's wait and see. So they transferred it from K through 12 education to these private programs, in some cases private programs, but there's no busing, there's no access, there's, in some cases, you need to, so we really haven't increased early childhood education, and I'm waiting to see what the governor says on Thursday to see if he's going to bump that up to $100 million. But even if he bumps it up to $100 million, it still is not new money for early childhood education. And at the same time, it causes all of you to spread your existing fixed costs over a smaller population.
Well, thanks for your efforts. Vote Democrat.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And again, anytime, if I have tended to allow the school boards as well as the city councils in my district to operate on your own. I've never wanted anybody to want to Monday morning quarterback me whenever there's been an issue, available by phone, email, Facebook for some of you. And of course, my home phone number is in the book, my office number. So this isn't the end, but I would, rather the state do the right thing by all of you, give you the money, so that we're not in this continuous cut mode.
Right,
So thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Back to my agenda. The next item on our agenda is the ABM progress update with Kelly. Kelly Thomas is here from ABM to discuss with us I believe we're going to hear tonight your findings from.
We are. We'll talk a little bit about kind of how we got here and the progress that we've had.
Can you use the microphone? You can take it out of there. Top button. We don't have nothing on this, just pull it forward. There you go.
Hi, I'm Kelly Thomas from ABM Building Solutions.
Can you
Thank-
kind of explain just real quick what ABM it is and what they do and
I've got
what?
a slide just for that.
Great.
As a matter of fact, I do. Again, I'm Kelly Thomas from ABM Building Solutions. We met with some of you here on the board back on October 28th, so some of this may be review for some of the folks here, and some of it, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them at any time. So today we'll talk a little, this one right here. There we go. Today we'll talk a little bit about how we got where we are today and the progress that we've come up with since we met originally, and what this may look like for Romulus schools financially, and from there, what the next steps look like. And I should introduce my coworker, Kevin Coakley. He's part of our technical department, and in the back there, my general manager, Bill Valancourt, and Joe Barger. He's part of our executive team. Sorry, I was a little late on that. But we're all from ABM. We're a large company, a $4 billion company, where we all focus on facility optimization, making sure that buildings are running as efficiently as possible. We're not a product manufacturer. That's one thing that's very important. So we're not here to sell you kind of the latest, greatest things that we have in our warehouse. It gives us really the ability to bring solutions to the district that fit what's going on specifically in your buildings and in your facilities. And what we do with a lot of our school districts is we're really helping them by bringing them a financial solution to technical problems. ABM, for a lot of other districts, we help them get infrastructure upgrades done without going out to the community for bond money. So this is how we're a little different than, say, a traditional bond. Michigan, we're a union company. We have about 2,000 employees here in Michigan. That's about all for Michigan. So our school clients. I don't have to tell you what's going on in here in the schools. Our school clients are, telling us it's a tough road. You know that taxes are down. Student competition is tough. Across the board, the one thing that is the same, though, many facilities are waiting for the economy to get better in order to upgrade their facilities, and it's not happening. It's getting a little better, but meanwhile, your buildings are getting older and older, and you're having bigger capital projects that are really getting deferred over time. So when we were here in October, we talked about what some of the key initiatives were here in the district. Really most important to the board, the administration, and to us when we're looking at this is student achievement. That's really the top thing that we're looking at. Have any of the other initiatives changed here in the district since we've been here?
I think that second from the bottom one's going to change.
Yeah, that changed since I wrote that up this morning. You are correct. That was one of the things that we knew was coming, but I didn't know what was going to happen today. But has anything else changed besides that? Have we still got a good handle on the initiatives here in Romulus?
The deficit elimination approval.
It is approved.
It is approved. Good.
And they probably go higher up on the list of things that are prioritized.
Sure. Yeah.
That maintenance backlog is probably a little bit more.
I
now.
think it is probably a little bit higher because that study was done initially, back in '08. It got updated again in '12. So
Right.
I would imagine those costs are a little bit higher. So when we were here last, we told you, you wondered how are we going to fund this solution? So what we do is we take a look at what the district is spending currently, and what we've done is look at your gas, electric, your maintenance and operation. We also look at water. And through the implementation of new equipment, new strategies, things like new boilers, new lighting, new heating and air conditioning, we reduce each of these costs. You see, we shrink each of those buckets. So then there is a cost there for the investment. But using the Michigan legislation that we are utilizing here, there needs to be excess savings. There needs to be money to put right to the bottom line. It has to be cash flow positive in Michigan for this funding to work. So what we do is we put that money right to the bottom line. So in other words, we take the savings that we're going to realize through implementing all of this new equipment and new things, and we utilize that savings. We reallocate those savings in order to pay for that. Now, does that make sense? Because if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to go over it. So we looked at what your district is spending cost per square foot on utilities here. And that's shown here in the burgundy graph. That's the Romulus High School. And what we do is we compare it against the Energy Star benchmark for buildings of the same type, same age, same region of the country. So it's kind of hard to see here, but you see the difference in between is the amount of projected savings based on the benchmark. So at the high school, we believe just in utility savings alone, we can save you about $81,000 a year, which is quite a bit of money. And what we do, and it's different all across the district. Here in the elementary schools, it shows $57,000. That's a cumulative number for all 4 elementary schools. When we were here, we said there's a lot of reasons that these costs can be higher than the Energy Star benchmark. And when we were here, we said, we're going to come back and tell you, okay, why were they higher? We'll try and figure out what's going on. I know the big question was the administration building. Why is there such a differential there? We figured that out. Or we at least got a good handle on it. Some of the things we found, specifically, we talked about this again in the last meeting. Lighting is a big thing. You've got light bulbs that are no longer even being manufactured. They're called T12s. So they're going to get harder and harder to find as time goes on. They're very expensive to run. They're not energy efficient. And here specifically in these gyms, sometimes, you tell me, does it take a few minutes for those lights to warm up? So sometimes that can be a safety issue. We're concerned about that as well. But lights are a big part of this. And in this district specifically, you're going to see that there's a lot of things relating to heating and air conditioning, specifically on the air conditioning side. You can see here one of the things we found. This is your chiller condenser, and it's got growth around it, so you're not really getting proper airflow through there in order to help your equipment run efficiently. Here, this is a cooling unit at the high school. It's hard to see here, but this is a frozen pipe. It's 70 degrees outside. We got a frozen pipe on a cooling unit, so there's something wrong there. So again, those units are working a little harder than they have to, and costing you money operationally. We're not even talking about all the breakdowns that have occurred. At the high school, you've got these 2 really big boilers, which were great during the polar vortex. Glad to see everyone survived that. They work great, but here's the thing. They're 2 big boilers, and they're either on or off. So, in a spring day where it might be a little chilly in the morning, you're getting a huge boiler 100% on, when it might just need just a little warm-up to get things satisfied in the building. So we're not saying we need to replace those, because there's nothing wrong with those boilers. There just might be a better way to operate them. We're not saying we need to replace them, because you've got some things that might just need to be tweaked. We don't need to buy all new. We want to be efficient with the money that we're utilizing here. Again, here's one of your chiller units. I find that a lot of your issues are cooling related. It's kind of hard to see here. There's buildup on these coils, which gives you restricted airflow. So you're not getting air as cool as you would like it to come out. It's causing the motors to work harder, use more energy. And then again, we're going back to those operational costs when they break down. And this is an exhaust fan at the high school. Can you see that? A family of birds moved in there.
It's like a nest.
It is. It's a big nest. It wasn't a bald eagle, but it was a big nest, and that motor was actually still running. We're lucky it didn't catch on fire. So we were able to help them. The district came and cleaned it out when we brought this to their attention. So it didn't fail, but you were close. You were real close to failure there. Insulation is also another issue. There's places where we need more insulation in the district. And, again, you can kind of see where it's just come loose. We took some infrared photos. So this is what it looks like when there's no insulation. This temperature here is 161 degrees on that piping there I believe that's at the junior high. So you're losing a lot of heat there a lot of heat. And there's a lot of pipe that needs to be insulated at the junior high, would you say?
There's about 5,000 feet.
So if you think about all these things and you say, that doesn't sound like that much, but you add that nickel to that quarter to that dime, and you kind of look at it all together as a whole, there's a lot of money being spent there. And then really, to say for the district, you've got some equipment that's from 1991 and it's still running. So you're doing some things right. It's still working. But, it's only got a certain amount of life, and you guys are really at the end. So you've utilized a lot of your equipment really as long as you can, plus 10 years. So you've done a good job in some regards at keeping this stuff running. Your control system. This is an interesting one. Back in, 1991 to 1993 is when this was installed. The control system is kind of the brain for your heating and air conditioning. It tells it when to come on, when to go off, things like that. It's on a dial-up. It's on a dial-up. You can see it right here. I know, it's a little funny. You can see it. It's right here. You can see it. You're closer. You can see it. It's an actual dial-up.
For those at home, that's a rotary phone.
It really is. It's not a matter of if it's going to fail. It's a matter of when it's going to fail. And when it goes, it could cause really some critical failures because it's the brain behind your heating and air conditioning. Wow. It's not that funny. So this is really interesting. This is one of the things. We walked into Barth Elementary, and it was about a 18-degree day that day. And as we walk in, we can hear rumbling over our head. Rumbling, rumbling, rumbling. We wondered what's going on there? What's going on? So we checked it out. There's no insulation above there. So you've got 70-degree heat literally creeping almost out the front door of Barth Elementary right here. Can you see that? So that's one of the things that, you'll save some money if that gets addressed. And this is really a high-tech version of this picture here. You can see light through here. And we find that in a lot of schools, that things just need to be kind of tucked up, tipped up a little bit. It could be windows caulking, door sweeps, things like that. But you've got 37-degree heat sneaking right into the 37-degree coldness, I guess, sneaking right into the building there. So those were some of the things that we found when we looked around. Now, it's kind of hard to see this. What does it look like financially for Romulus? Some of you have seen this slide before. Well, it's different than when we saw you the last time because we've got more data, more information. Here's your utility information. You're spending about $939,000 annually on your gas, electric. Yeah, gas and electric. And when we were here the last time, we said we thought maybe we were spending about $8,000 on your operations and maintenance based on a percentage off your utilities. Well, when we got into it, we found out that it was really a lot higher. I've looked through bills and invoices. You're spending almost $300,000 annually with an HVAC contractor. And I took an average of a couple of years, so it's not just kind of a one-year thing. When I said I was showing you a lot of heating and air conditioning pictures, that's because of that's where a lot of your money is being spent right now. Parts associated with both the heating and air conditioning and lighting. So you're spending about $314,000 annually on items that we might be able to affect. So we believe that we can save you about 22% on your utilities, strictly on your utilities. And on these operations costs, again, these are costs that I can affect, not operational costs that are associated with like janitorial and things like that. I went through a lot of invoices to make sure that these are real numbers for the district. So about $157,000 we believe we can save you, and I really think that's a conservative number still. So annually, if you combine the two amounts of savings, it's about $354,000 a year we believe we can save for the district. So good news is there's opportunity to get some stuff done. Go back one question. Inkster High School, that was a question. A lot of those questions got answered for me tonight, and I will say that we concur with a lot of things that he said and with what the report said. And we could probably talk about that at another time as well, but that was one of the things we looked over there like you asked us to, and again, we concur. What can this do for Romulus long term? Well, it will help you guys really to be more proactive rather than reactive with your facilities, and it'll help the learning environment. And what it's doing, it's using money that you're already sending to the utility company. It's getting you that money immediately in order to get these upgrades done. We believe we can save you anywhere from 15 to 30% annually in the utilities. And I didn't say 22% here because we haven't done the water piece yet. So that's why I think we may be able to get up a little bit higher there. And 25 to 30% savings in total operations and maintenance. This is how the state and the federal government, this is the exact funding mechanism that the state and the federal government use in order to get their buildings upgraded. And the results are guaranteed. So if we're wrong, we write you a check for the difference. So it really takes all the risk off of the district. Really, as you guys have been going now, you've been putting Band-Aids on things. This is really a way to help you take a chunk out of your deferred maintenance list and get some things done. And also really, again, if you get back to that number one goal, make the learning environment better for the kids and a better environment for the staff as well. These are some of the clients that we've worked with around town. Have any of you had a chance to talk to any of these districts? I know some of you mentioned you had known some folks in Crestwood. Our company has a mandate from the top to be 100% referenceable when we do these type of jobs. And if we're not, I certainly don't want to be the one involved in that when we're not 100% referenceable. So I would encourage you to call any of those districts or any of the clients we've done this type of work with. They're going to give you a good reference. Sometimes it almost sounds too good to be true, and many of these districts said that to us until now we're delivering the results. So here's an important part. At the beginning I said I was going to maybe ask you to say, yeah, this makes sense or it doesn't. Good news is we've been looking at this for, I don't know, since the end of October. Our profiles do align. This district meets the profile of a district we are able to help and bring this guaranteed solution to. It's fundable, and we've got a timeline. Is it something that, are we still interested, are you still interested as a board and a district to continue to move forward in this progress, in this project? This is where I'm looking for kind of a head nod to say yes, if we're still going, because we talked about this before. We're really investing a lot of resources in this and hanging a lot of, doing a lot of data research and things like that.
Did you guys go through the pool at the high school at all?
We did.
Yeah, we're
Kevin.
looking at some different options over there, like putting speed drives on pumps and
Just save.
that's definitely something.
Yep. We've looked at a lot of things. We've really looked at a whole lot of things. And as we go through this process, there are going to be things where you go, yeah, no, that doesn't work. This makes sense. This is something that we want to customize with you as a board and as a district to make sure this fits in with what this district is trying to move forward and do. This isn't about what I think you should do. This is about what Romulus as a district would like to do moving forward.
I'm just curious why the HVAC people couldn't catch frozen pipes and chiller stuff and exhaust fans.
Well, we're hoping to help with that down the road. I think being proactive is a good path for this district to move in. Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I just don't know if you heard what I said.
Oh, yeah, I did, yeah.
That she agreed with, because the district traditionally has been reactionary and calling the HVAC
When something
contractors
happens.
when something does.
On one
happen.
specific
We're not
equipment,
doing
yeah.
preventative stuff.
Right.
So, sorry to be the
Yeah.
So, yes.
Can you just explain so the public can hear again how we don't pay a fee for this to happen?
No.
Anything that's done to the buildings or to the facilities is from the savings that
Yes.
we incur?
Everything that we do within this program, you might think to yourself, okay, why don't, do windows when you do this. This program needs to be completely self-funded. So, in other words, everything we do, the savings have to pay for what we're doing or we can't do it. It goes back to the legislation that the state allows us to use that says everything must be cash flow positive. Some things don't pay for themselves over the amount of time, so we can't do them. But this won't affect everything on your deferred maintenance list, but it will take a big chunk out of it. Is that the answer you're looking for, or would you like me to tell a little bit more detail?
Well, I just wanted to basically to let the public know that this isn't a service that another expense that we're going to incur.
We've done all this free of charge to the district. It's been a time investment. I've taken a lot of Ms. Postitas's time, and other folks have been gracious enough to help us and walk us around, so we understand what's going on. We're really trying to customize this to fit based on what this district needs. So it's a considerable time investment on the district's part and on our part. We're doing things like hanging data loggers up to see how long the lights are actually on and how long motors are actually on versus someone saying, hey, the school opens up at 7 in the morning and closes down at 4. Well, we're doing a data-driven process that will tell us, well, the lights really come on at 6 and really go off at 5. So then we'll understand what we're really working with as opposed to, kind of wild guesses. This is data-driven information that we're gathering. So still makes sense to move forward? Do we kind of have a consensus among the board that this is a good idea to move forward? Can I get a head nod?
Do you need it? I think we need an action.
Okay.
Yeah, we need an action item, probably.
Is that something that the board would want to do today, or is this something that we want
What's our timeline?
Well, as a matter of fact,
Okay.
there we go. When we put together this timeline, we start really thinking about this, the end date. We'd like to have all the work complete by the start of the next school year. And we kind of work backwards from here to where we are now. We met initially back at the end of August just to kind of get the concept out. We've walked out, looked around, met with the superintendent, done some preliminary engineering, and here we are today doing the preliminary study with the board. Just to, again, to make sure that everybody's still on board. There's no financial obligation to you at this point. We're not there yet. We're just not that far into the process. We still need a little time to gather some remaining data. This does have to go out for RFP to the public. It's a 2-week process where it's going to be out, and other folks are going to look at this too.
And at that point, that's when we'll have to take board
Exactly.
action. Right now, you're still in the data gathering.
Yep.
Okay, and we did take action to allow them to gather data, so I don't think that we need another action item for that done.
Madam Chair, can I make a,
Looking for something informal to say yes.
Right.
Madam Chair, can I make a suggestion? I mean, we got a lot on our plate for tonight, and I mean, Kelly's doing a great job explaining this stuff, and a lot of people have heard it, and a lot of the information she's given us is pretty good here. Is there 2 questions, actually? One, can we get a copy of this presentation
Sure.
where all the board members can go home and decipher it, so we can look at it, because it makes it a little easier to see from up close versus squinting over there. And
Sure.
then also, maybe we can put this on the next meeting that we have and kind of more discuss it in more detail, and then we can let them know, maybe one of the representatives, or Kelly or one of the representatives, can come back if we have questions, and we
But
can
are we
ask.
going to allow them to continue to gather data? So we already took action on that already.
So far, what honestly, that's up to you, but if you want to ask everybody, but I'm favor, right now, it's not costing anything. I mean, the way they've explained it, nothing has changed. She showed us numbers, but then again, if we can look at that a little bit closer.
Those numbers are going to be pretty close.
But
What's
I
the
mean, if we
target
can look
date
at
for
the
you
numbers
finishing?
while we're in front of our computer instead of trying to find them up on the board, but, I mean,
Is it February? You said that because there's info on the
So-
pool and everything yet that
So
you're looking
about
at?
March 14th would be about when we want the RFP to go out. It would be due back on March 28th, and then from there, you can make your decision.
right. And then still following that timeline, if we had one in February and we talk about it a little bit more in detail, if any other members have questions after looking at the program, we still got adequate time. If we want them to continue on too, we can. And from what I'm looking on the timeline, it should be done before school starts, majority of it, correct?
Correct. And at that next meeting, you could also take action to say, yes, I authorize the release of an RFP at that point, if that makes sense to you.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, Kelly, but I understand how this program works and stuff, and then for the community, in order to really to capture the most savings, when you got money, you can't just say, well, we're gonna put new doors in the building, in every building. We
Right.
still got the windows leaking. You're fixing everything at one time, so we're gonna achieve the savings quicker and faster and actually be more noticeable. We're
Absolutely.
gonna put the doors and the windows and the sweeps and the, door jams and everything else and adjust the thing. So everything's gonna get done at one time, so the impact of savings is gonna be more
Absolutely.
noticeable versus, let's put new windows in the house today and we're still getting cold weather.
But just to be clear, we're not putting in new windows.
Right, but I mean, it's
But
just, you're
yes.
doing all the work
Like
at one time versus,
Yeah.
one year you're doing this
Absolutely.
and 1 year you're doing that over.
What the history has shown me of districts who do this sort of piecemeal is it never all really gets done.
Right.
When you do it all at once like this, you can go through and it's all done. And really, what this may do, and one of the things I guess I didn't mention as part of the control system, if you will, the brain on that system, it's going to provide you with a management tool that you've never had before. You're going to be able to, through technology, look at your building, what's going on your phone. Whoever's in charge of that is going to be able to do that sort of thing. So this is going to provide the district with a management tool like they've never had before. It's going to help from the board standpoint to help with accountability down the road. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
I just would like to know, I know I wrote down, you said there was no fee paid through savings occur, is what I wrote down.
No-
So-
no fee.
So there's no fees, but there's gonna be some sort of a payment that's gonna
Yes.
be through the
Yes.
savings that will occur. Approximately how much would that be? Do you know?
The
Could you give
payment
us
or
a-
the amount of the project?
The payment,
Well, the payment is.
how
gonna
does that
depend-
work,
What we do is
cost-wise?
this is going to be, and this is a ballpark, about a $3.5 million project, give or take a little bit here and there. It's going to be about that much
pay for that?
out of the savings.
The savings pay for
Out of
it.
the savings that, maybe go back to that.
Well, we're paying on utilities
What you're
already.
paying on utilities, we'll go back to, no, go all the way back.
So technically, once we, what I'm trying to get an understanding of.
Yes.
Is once this is all done and we get the savings that occur, how much after we pay your services, for your services, do we get back as a
That's something
savings
that we're gonna
to the
work,
district?
we're gonna work through this, and it's gonna depend on what we decide to do, and this is what we work with the district on, to say, okay, it has to be cash flow positive, so we have to do this district, and there has to be money to put in the district's pocket, or we can't do this. So again, this has to be money in the district's pocket, or we can't do it. What that exact number is, we're not to that point to say it's gonna be $10,000 a year. We don't know that part
It
yet.
would be defined in the RFP response.
Right.
Where we give you all.
So we'll have that information before
Absolutely.
we
Oh,
actually decide to do our
absolutely.
RFP.
But the
We can't
cost
get
of the
the RFP
project
done.
is from the energy bond that you write,
Yes.
and then that money is,
Some sort of third-party financing that you would.
Right.
say, whether it's an energy bond.
right.
Or municipal financing, but
And then
even
the
include,
savings come back to pay for that.
pay for that as well. You have to include that as well in order to keep this cash flow positive. So even when you include the financing, we still have to save money for the district and put it in their pocket, or we can't do the project. It doesn't make sense.
So off the savings, to make sure, I think what people are asking here is, you see on the left of the chart is what we're saving now.
This is what you're
Over on the
spending now.
right, in the red, is what you're projecting we will pay after all the implementations of
Yes.
everything else. The gray is the cost for the bond, is that correct?
No, this is the cost, like the savings that would be allotted,
To where? Where
To
would
pay
that,
for it.
that goes to?
that would
The
go.
gray and the green is what we're actually gonna save. Now, how much of that part goes to the bond and how much to the district? of the-
This is the cost of the loan or the
Right.
bond right here.
Right.
The green is whatever's, whatever happens to be left.
So the gray would be for the loan.
The loan.
And then the green is what the district would achieve back.
Recoup in cash money savings that you can use however you want.
So
Now, there's another thing
We're
that I
really not
forget.
spending any money other than what we would normally spend on the
Right,
utilities.
you don't have, this district does not have to do this project. You can still go and spend that 900, or what is it, 1.2, $1.3 million a year, and have all the same issues and probably higher costs as the years go on. But if you do this project, you'll get all this new stuff, if you will, controls, lighting, HVAC improvements, things like that, and you'll still be spending less money than what you're spending right now. And again, that's guaranteed. So if we're wrong, we write you a check. Now, what we're guaranteeing, just so we're clear, is consumption differential, kilowatts, therms, things like that, just so we're all understand that that's what it is. But we talk about it in dollars because that's what people understand.
But projection-wise on there, you had, what, $300-some thousand you're estimating?
$354,000
A
annually
year.
is what I believe we can save you.
Okay. I think that's where everybody was trying to get that number to understand it.
But also,
I
too,
would like
this
to
is
know the
over a
cost.
certain amount of time.
Over 15 years.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm just trying to make sure I get this
You
clear.
weren't at the last one where we
No.
talked about this for a
Right.
long time,
Right,
so
and
no.
I need to get some basic figures.
Sure.
I need to know, even if it's just approximately, what could be saved.
I can do that for
And
you.
once you subtract what your service is approximately based upon what data that you have right now or the data that you give us before.
How about when I
we
come,
get the RFP, if
how
you
about
can
when
give
I
me
come
that.
to the next meeting at this release for, if we decide at that point we're going to release for the RFP, I'll have numbers for you, and probably I'll share with the administration prior, so you'll get to see it prior to the meeting.
I'm looking forward to it.
If you can give it to them the Friday before the meeting so we can get it in our
Yes.
packet, that would be great.
Thank you.
I will do that. That's no problem at all. Does that make sense?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
if you have any questions, please, now's the time to ask them, because this is for your community and for your district. This is a way for you to show your community that you're being good stewards with their money.
Well,
This is a win-win for the district.
if you don't, I think if you don't advance in this, when the things break down, it's gonna come out of our pocket.
Right.
Right.
Without,
We won't have
without the
money to fix it.
reimbursements paying for this bond or whatever. And that's the problem that we could face, that when these
The bond
boilers
gives
and
us
these
the
lights have to
opportunity
be
to get it
updated.
fixed before it breaks.
Yeah.
Okay, so, looking at the calendar, they're proposing, gathering the remaining data. So do I pretty much have a consensus for them to continue moving forward with gathering the data, everyone?
I'm
I'm
Any-
for
any-
it.
I guess I should ask anybody opposed to that. Okay, so,
So far, I guess
so we're gonna move forward with continuing the data. Now,
My guess is in here,
Our
we might need to
next-
come again.
right, our next meeting, we have, January,
I would say do it in February. if
we
we
have
can.
January 27th, February 10th, or February 24th.
The
I'm
10th?
kind of thinking the February 10th will probably be the best. That way it'll give you an opportunity to get the additional information from the data that you're still gathering. Get Ms. Bowles the information that she requested from the very first meeting that we had with you. And then also, we can have further discussion in regards to the RFP process and what we need to do. I just have one question. At that February 10th meeting, that will be when you are wanting us to take action to do the RFP release, correct?
Well,
Yeah.
they said March 14th, they need it by March 14th so they can get it back in time for 2
Well,
weeks.
March 14th is about when we want it to go out for public bidding, so it'll come back around, again, we do this with this date right here in mind, to get it done by the start of next school year. In our minds, around February 14th is when it needs to go out. So we have a little time in here.
Okay.
So if we did it February 10th, having the meeting approved, that would give you enough time to get the RFP together to go out.
We talked about, the RFP isn't real complex to go out. But yeah, we will go over that with the administration beforehand, what's going to go out, so it can be approved by the administration before it goes out. It's something that, again, we will help you with.
Okay,
if you
so
need
I
help with.
guess,
So on the 10th, you want us to come back really and talk about what it looks like financially for the district?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Is that, am I clear on what we are to do at that point? A little firmer grip on the numbers
Right.
at that point.
And if you can get it to them the Friday before,
You
they
got
can
it.
get them in our packets, and then if we can get a copy of the presentation, a lot of us can look at it at our leisure too.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
so I guess I'm going to this direction now. So I guess I would just need to know from administration, what your timeline is gonna look like so that we can stay within the, time frame for their deadlines.
I'm a little concerned about the securing the financing 60 days, because the way this kind of backs up the way our meetings are, we're not going to have 60 days to secure that financing.
We may be able to do those parallel with each other.
Okay.
So it might not have, we might start securing the financing prior
Yeah.
to, April. We might
And if-
start that in March.
And if the board were able to take action on the 10th for us to proceed with an RFP, I'd be more comfortable moving an RFP along a little bit faster, just so that we can make sure that, if we've got any problems along the road, we don't compromise our end date of August of 2015.
We'll talk about maybe moving that forward, and we'll see what we can do internally. There's still, we want to gather data based on, real data based on, I hate to say it, but weather. Polar vortex readings are different than what's in the spring.
So you're not sure if your February 10th, you would be able to make that meeting for
I'll
a
make the
data
meeting.
review?
Oh, I can make the meeting, but what I'm
For the
saying is we may
purpose
not
of-
be ready for the RFP to go out at that point. Does that,
So then we may need to have either, let me ask you this, would February 24th be too far down the road? Would that kind of put you in a, hem you up as far as your timeline? Because I'm just trying to figure out
Yep.
whether or not we need to have a special meeting in between our regular meeting to get it done.
I think February 10th is fine. I think what I understand is the biggest concern with Ms. Peck is getting the financing done in a timely manner. And we will have very rough numbers to where, let's say we're saying it's 3.5, we could say, okay, you would be fine securing bids for $4 million. You know, that way you're getting pre-approvals and everything's done. So as soon as the RFP or the board decides to take action and approve it, then you're already
Then
down
we
the
have our
path.
hard numbers, we have our real numbers by then.
Yes, we'll have our real numbers. So at that point, you're just fine tuning the energy bond or municipal lease.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So, okay, so January 31st then is the date that we're looking at to have that information to our board members, is that correct? Because
Yeah,
you
the
all
final-
are
yeah.
requesting a week?
No, the Friday before our meeting.
Right
at
before the
least.
Okay,
7th.
so the 7th?
7.
Okay, I'm thinking that you were talking about a week in advance.
No, usually we get the packets the Friday before our meeting, so that way we have it in there, we can look at it.
Okay,
The 7th is.
so February 10th.
Joe would like to add something.
I think it's important that the board understand that this is a very iterative process. So you're going to see energy conservation measures come back and forth. So the numbers are never final until a contract is signed. So you get closer and closer and closer. The more data we gather, that's why you would go out for approval for $4 million, let's say, and then you're going to find out that the project's, 3.4 million and some change. But it's going to come back to you multiple times with changes that with you and the superintendent, the interim superintendent and the board members deciding on, well, maybe this conservation measure doesn't work, right? We don't want to do this one. Or maybe something here has changed and we need to do it. So as the numbers get better, so it's important that it's never done until we're right to the very end and then you have your final numbers. But they get closer and closer the further in the process you go. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just don't want to give the wrong impression that as we do this, come January 31st, you're going to have numbers and they're going to be fixed, firm, done, rock solid numbers, because they don't. It's a design build type deal. And so you build, it changes as you go.
Kind of like buying a house, you're gonna get approval for 200,000, you may only spend 150.
Yeah, exactly.
The numbers we give you will be very close. It won't be off by like $1 million. It won't be like that. We'll be pretty close. We'll have a pretty good idea.
Okay, I think the more or less it sounds to me, Ms. Bowles, the concern is the coming back more than the numbers that we're looking at, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. All
No
right, so
surprises.
February 10th?
Since I have him here, can I go ahead and ask another question?
Yes, please.
Since I have you here, what is your experience with districts that are experiencing, we're in a deficit?
Yep.
We have an approved deficit elimination plan with the state, so we're moving out of deficit. What's your experience with the bond process and the approval process?
Almost every district that we've done this type of work with has been in deficit.
Okay.
It's either been not approved yet, or I want to say in one district, we had to get their deficit elimination plan approved before we could move forward. So,
So as long as our deficit elimination plan remains in good standing, the chances are very good that we would be
they
able
are
to
very
go out to
good,
bond.
yes. In our experience in the past, as long as your deficit elimination plan is being adhered to and been approved, and they like this in the deficit elimination plan. They like this.
Sure.
It's saving the district money.
Well, it's more money that we can apply towards our deficit
Yes.
elimination plan.
Okay, can I be the devil's advocate, seeing that we just kind of threw that out there? In the event, something crazy happens and state of Michigan says, we're closing your doors. How does that impact the contract that we've established with your organization?
Well, that's a new one.
Just,
I would have to say, if you have an answer, I don't have an answer for that. I may have to get back to you. Joe, do you have an answer for that? Well, look at that. That's why we brought Joe.
So it would be very similar to what happened with bond obligations to the school district in Inkster, right? So you're going to enter into a 10 or a 15-year obligation bonds or municipal lease. And if that happens sometime after the contract is done, so if it happens when we're implementing it, then all you pay for is the work typically that has been executed up to that point. But once the work is done and you're financed, it's like anything else. Now you've got a debt obligation, and that obligation would have to be taken care of somehow by the state of Michigan to whoever the third-party financer is. So if it's, bonds or municipal lease with a bank or whatever it happens to be, whatever works out to be the best for the district and what you guys decide to approve, that would eventually have to be handled in some legal way with the state. Okay?
All right, thank you. Just
am
thought
more
I'd throw that out
savings.
there.
I have more savings because the lights won't be on all day long.
Okay,
Right?
so February 10th, we will see you again.
Thank you. I appreciate your
you.
time today.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you all for your time. We appreciate it. All right. So moving right along, next agenda item is our overnight field trip. I need action.
Wait a minute, I missed this one.
the lights back on, please?
We're saving money, Ms. Buckles.
Pardon me?
We're saving money.
You saving money?
Did I skip one? No, I did not.
Do you guys see the field trip in here?
I don't see it.
It's in the back. It's in the back. I
Oh,
saw
it's
it
in the
earlier.
back.
Right before the last page.
Sorry.
Kind of got a little
Back.
out of order.
I thought I saw it, but I wasn't sure whether. Put it in the wrong.
All right.
Okay, I need a motion
It's
for a
just in the
field
wrong
trip.
place. It was
Madam
just-
Chair.
it's in the wrong place.
I move the Board of Education approve the proposed field trip for the Romulus Middle School FCCLA students to Midland, Michigan for the Leadership Conference, March 26th to March 28th, 2014, at no cost to the district, and that's a SEMTA grant.
Support.
Okay, moved by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Ms. Kraut. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, just a point of interest.
Ms.
Go ahead.
Kudrick, go
Ms.
ahead.
Bowles, you had one?
I just wanted to,
Ms. Bowles.
the supervisions that are on here, are these teachers or it just says list names of adults accompanying students on trip? Well, wait a minute, it says, wait a minute. Are these the two faculty members that are listed underneath the area, or are there two additional faculty members that are going along with the two that are also listed at top?
I believe these are the two that will be accompanying the students.
Okay, now, are these teachers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Edwards.
Both
and
of
Ms.
them?
Jensen, yes.
Yeah, both of them work in the district. But now, is Ms. Santo going to on this still, or as a kind of, is she will? Because I don't think she's ever
Yeah.
missed any, has she? Okay. Now, just, Madam Chair, just a question.
Yes. Mr.
I
Kudrick.
was reading in the notes here that this is actually costing, there is no cost at all to the district, and from the notes that I read, this includes the transportation, it's also covered, the grant is also covering the fees for the subs for them teachers as they're gone too, so there's absolutely no cost at all. It's just, this is probably one of the better ones that the district doesn't have to pay anything for.
This also,
It's a great opportunity for the students.
it is. My kids have been part of FCCLA since middle school, and they're both at the high school now. We'll be seeing a similar one coming from the high school probably in the next month or so. But FCCLA, it's, I only have good words to say about it. And Miss Santo, in her she's retired, and she still dedicates time to invest in this particular program with our students. And so it's extremely beneficial. I mean, just the public speaking piece alone. They work and have projects that they do, community service projects, where they have to implement the whole thing from the beginning to the very end, ending in a presentation to judges, and they give a presentation to a panel, and then they vote and they receive either gold, silver, or bronze medals for them. And so it's a very, very, I almost wish it was mandatory for all of our students. It's a very good program, so. Are there any additional questions? Okay, take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, Next on our agenda is offer on Beverly property. May I have a motion, please? Well, you know,
Before you get the motion, I think
we
you gotta
almost
talk
need to
about it.
have a discussion first.
Okay.
All right.
I think we have to put the motion on the floor and then we just.
We have, but we have two different,
The one motion is a
Yeah.
decline in the offer, so,
so could you just put a motion on the floor for discussion, please?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we discuss the property for Beverly Road and the Burton Center.
Okay. Moved by Kudrick, supported by Theed. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, questions?
I see, Madam Chair, I see that they made an offer for $175,000. Now, there's also another recommendation here. Does this come from our realtor, the 450?
Yes, it did.
Okay, now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but over this polar vortex that we had that's been so-called named, we had some pipes break into this facility now too, so that's
How does
definitely
that-
going to,
It's going to impact the selling price of the property. At the time, when I spoke to our real estate agent last week, I advised him of the situation because the pipes broke underneath the floor of a couple of classrooms. In order for us to repair those pipes, we have to break
Right.
concrete, which we are not going to do. We've already drained the water and shut those furnace, or the boiler systems down. He has advised me that he talked to the person that made the offer, the group that made the offer, explained to them what happened. They still wanted to move forward with the offer, understanding that there's an inspection period that's built into any offer, so it will impact the selling price or the ultimate price of the property. By how much at this point, we don't know. We haven't spent any resources going out to find out what the estimated replacement value, cost to that would be.
So I guess,
As the.
so the 450,000 is from the realtors, that's with them knowing the pipes that are broke?
No.
That's without them.
That was
That's
without them
before,
knowing, that was
yeah.
all before, even the $450,000 estimate.
So they can have the opportunity to come back with a counteroffer.
Well, after the inspection, during the inspection period, they would come forward, if the board approves something tonight, whether it's whatever the board decides to do tonight, they'll do an inspection, and then the bidder will come back and say, based on our inspection, here's the cost of what we didn't know before when we made that offer, we'd like to reduce this price by this amount.
Do we know
They'll
who wants to
counter
buy
again.
Yeah, it was in our
Yeah,
packet.
it's
It-
right here, Jim. I
I
didn't see
saw
that.
the whole,
I didn't see that.
I saw
Yeah,
the thing
it
was Chase, but,
I see a Chase, and okay, wait here.
yeah, and Power
The
Opportunity.
bank gave her a letter.
Creative
That's not it.
Empowerment,
Yeah.
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 do we know what they do?
They are, I do, I looked them up. They have a website.
I see it.
They are, it's a company based out of Macomb County, and they provide services to individuals with developmental disabilities and mental illnesses.
So they want to keep the building.
They do want to use the building. I mean, their purpose their intent is to use that building. They do rehabilitation, contract work, educational classes, creating employment options for the individuals that they serve.
But most of the people they deal with are adults.
yeah,
All of
they've
them. Over
aged
18.
out of the special
Right.
education program.
Right.
For the state.
Over 26. Yes.
And they're just going to, like a Monday through Friday daytime thing there, do we know?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they have a 24/7 operation, or if I'm not sure.
Are they tax exempt, did it say?
I don't know that.
And what's it costing us?
That's a good
Yeah,
question.
what is that building costing us? Like, do we know? I mean, I know obviously we didn't shut the water down because we had a busted pipe,
Right.
but heat, air, I mean, the
I mean,
taxes.
It does cost us, operational costs, the maintenance fees, we have
Right.
to pay to keep it up. Now, it's gonna cost us substantially less because we are having to mothball that building
Right.
as a result of those breaks. So the gas is shut off, being shut off, the water is actually being shut off. But we continue to have to monitor and maintain the outside and then do walkthroughs for safety reasons.
And what's our evaluation of that building, after Representative Geis came by, like if we put it as a poor or dismal or good
It
condition?
would be poor.
Poor, so we have no plans to ever use that building again, most likely. And with Rommel on Beverly, I doubt we'll build another elementary school
Right.
at that location, because the property's not big enough, I don't believe.
So is the question more of if the 175,000 that they're putting on the table, if we believe that the building is worth more than that?
That's my
Because,
concern.
Yeah.
without to be honest, without the inspection, we might,
We don't know.
we really don't know, because we might be cheating ourselves.
That's kind of.
Because we say, okay, well, we got busted pipes, so it's 175,000, go ahead and give it to them.
Right.
Then we find out later,
That it was worth
Right.
300.
Right.
It was just
that's
150,000.
my
That's why
thing, I think we should at
There's
least
two different
counter
motions
offer.
on there. I
Right.
mean,
I
one
put
is
counter offer.
declining
Choose
it,
the
the other
real
one
estate
is
holders
putting a
then.
motion for 450 counter offer.
Yeah, I think we should do a counter offer, because, I mean, you pay
That's what-
$175,000 for a house.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
And, I mean, they could at least just come back and say, no, we don't want,
Right.
this is what we offer, but 170, of course, they're gonna give us the lowest to see if we're gonna take it.
Well, in the process of that, can we, while that is going on, do an inspection on our own? So they
We
will
will.
know?
That's,
So
that's.
in that
We'll-
time frame?
We'll get a copy of the report.
Right.
Because
What we'll
they've
do
gotta
at
use
this
an
point,
impart-
we need to take, the board needs to take action on this offer that's on the table. They have to decide what they want to do with it. It can't sit in limbo. But in the meantime, we've already started the process with our real estate agent to get in there and do some new assessment values for the board to consider.
Madam Chair, you want a motion?
Yes, please.
Madam Chair, recommend the motion, the Board of Education decline the offer for $175,000 for the purchase of the Burton Center building and property.
Support.
Okay, so, moved by Kudrick and supported by Ms. Buckley. Any additional questions on that part? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now I need,
Madam Chair,
yes,
you ready?
yes.
I
am.
recommend the motion to move the Board of Education submit a counteroffer of $450,000 for the Burton Center building and property.
Support.
Okay, moved by Kudrick, supported by Mr. Thede. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Okay, next on the agenda are items of interest.
Forgot how this was, huh?
450.
Okay, if it pleases the board, I have 5 items of interest, even though there are only 3 listed. There were 2 that just didn't make it onto the list on Friday.
Okay.
The first, MASB Marie Miller will be present at our next board meeting on the 27th, and we'll be walking you through the timelines and the process to be used for the permanent superintendent search. Just an FYI, if you have any questions about that, you can direct those directly to Teresa Beard, board president.
Okay.
The Michigan College Application Week results. The Michigan College Access Network worked very hard over the course of the last 2 months, 3 months, over the course of the last couple of years. But through this hard work of Danielle Gordon, our Michigan College Access Network site coordinator for this fully funded grant program, as well as our school counselors and the tireless efforts of Mrs. Funderburg, I have submitted to you the data for the Michigan College Application Week. Many of the many great things gained in this week by students and families. I would like to point out that 242 college applications were submitted as a result of this effort by all. It's projects like this and dedicated people such as are found in this project that change our world. Congratulations to all and to all of the future college graduates.
And Project ACE is really significant in helping us really push this initiative, and so they help us with the resources that we need with the national tracking data, and so student tracking data. So it's real nice collaboration, and Danielle Gordon is doing an awesome job over there at the high school with our kids. So yay!
And she's sneaking into the middle school and into our elementary schools. So it's truly a college culture in our school district.
Great.
Ms. Peck, I just wanted to thank Ms. Funderburg. This Danielle is doing a good job, tireless effort. She's always a part of this, and she's really, I know she's focused and determined and passionate about it, so we thank you for your efforts in representing the board in this initiative. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is, I wanted to give the board an update of the early college initiative and where we're at to date. Mrs. Mockridge is trying to work it into her calendar to present to the Board of Education at our next board meeting an update of where our 2013-14 early college cohort is at, where their success over this last semester, where they're going. But I also wanted to make sure that I pointed out to you tonight that we do have an early college parent night information sessions that are coming up. Mrs. Mockridge, our early college coordinator and Romulus High School counselor, in collaboration with Wayne County Community College, Western Campus is hosting 2 Romulus Early College parent information sessions next month. These sessions will present the overview of the Romulus Early College, answer questions from parents and students, and on how the program works and address any concerns. Ms. Mockridge facilitated a large mailing and marketing campaign to recruit not only our current students into the program, meaning our current Romulus resident students, middle school and high school students, but also school of choice parents, which coincides with our open school of choice window right now. The following is the schedule for the upcoming Romulus Early College Parent Information Nights. Tuesday, February 4th at 7 p.m. at Romulus High School. Thursday, February 6th at 7 p.m. at Wayne County Community College Western Campus. Ms. Mockridge will be there along with administration, and she's done a great job of getting parents involved, getting the middle school students excited about this program, and figuring out how to ramp up and make themselves available for that program when they hit that 11th grade year.
What was the time frame again? For the February 6th?
Both of them are at 7 p.m. The high school will be in the high school auditorium. Wayne County Community College will have signs once you get there of where it's at.
It's on the Haggerty campus, right?
Yes.
Yep.
What night is it for high school?
The 4th is the high school.
Okay, my fourth item that did not make it onto the agenda, and I'm so sorry that it didn't. It was a piece of paper that got stuck in between 2 things. Extremely important and joyous day for Romulus Community Schools as well as the city of Romulus. The Romulus Martin Luther King Jr. Day 2014 is scheduled for Monday, January 20th. The following events will occur. Starting at 7:30 a.m., we will meet at Romulus Middle School. Starting at 8 a.m., the community march, come rain, shine, cold, snow, ice. I think we've done it all, right? That will start at 8 o'clock from the middle school to the high school. The Continental Breakfast, hosted by
The Romulus Rotary.
Thank you, the Romulus Rotary. That will start at 8 o'clock, but, those are for the wimps that don't make it to the march. We're all going to be marching. So we'll get there. And then at 9:30, the Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration starts in the high school. Molly McLinn is organizing this for the city and for the school district. She is looking for students and staff to perform at this program, asking you to contact her via email or phone number if you are aware of any groups that would like to be part of this program. So if you need her phone number, email, just contact the board office, and we will be happy to connect you with Molly. And finally, last but certainly not least, I don't know if the board got an opportunity to meet Molly Garcia, our Director of Special Education, who has taken over for Sue Mitchell. Molly Garcia, if you could please
Hi, Molly.
give a wave.
We knew her when she was Molly Parent. Way back then.
And that is all. Thank you.
Great. I have a question. I don't know if I missed, I know you did a motion to adjourn the special meeting, but I filled this form out and I just had something I wanted to bring up.
Oh, we're getting there. We're almost there.
You didn't miss nothing?
I'm sorry.
You didn't miss yet.
Coming up.
So I didn't know who the superintendent sitting in. My name's Jacqueline Leach. I am a Romulus resident. My son goes to
Could you,
high
excuse me, could you please get to
Grab
the
the
mic?
mic,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Top button.
So they can hear you at home.
So we're really, hold on one second, just for the sake of the agenda, we're going to kind of flip-flop the questions and concerns from board members with the comments from the public, so.
No, it's on.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
on-
You know
it's
what?
on the
I'm
back.
sorry, I was
Public
reading it wrong.
first.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry about that. I thought you were going to adjourn.
I'm looking at it wrong, sorry.
Go for it.
You're
Anyway,
great. You are perfect
Just listen
and
to
in
Jim when the
order.
audience speaks.
Thank you.
Just
thank
say
you.
your name
Little
and address,
rusty.
that way it's on the record.
My name's Jacqueline Leach.
Miss
Address is
Leach.
9618 Washington, Romulus, Michigan, 48174. And I'm here tonight because I have a concern with the high school. My son is in the 10th grade, and he was a participant in an honor award assembly. I went to the meeting. I found out at the meeting that Hal Hurd was no longer the principal. And I thought maybe it was my fault. Maybe I had changed my email. I went to the attendance office. Everything was perfect. And I was pretty upset because I think parents should be informed that the principal has changed, especially with the influx of the new school districts. That's a big deal. And his name was still signed on the ceremony. So I got this card home that said Hal Hurd was the principal. I get there, he's not. I asked why the parents weren't told. I wasn't given an answer. I called here. I don't know if any of you have called here, but you get the press 1 for this, press 2 for this, leave a message. I finally contacted the superintendent's office. I was told that the superintendent is resigning. Come to a board meeting. So that's why I'm here tonight. And what I want to request is there should be a meet the principal night. If I'm an involved parent and I didn't know, how many other parents out there don't know? And I think it's only fair to request it here, but I'm upset. I'm sure you can tell the tone of my voice. It's upsetting. You know, I felt Hal Hurd was there all the time. I'm a runner. I used to see his car there on Saturdays.
Right.
I felt the school was changing. I'm really disappointed, and I'm hoping that you stepping in, I'm hoping that I will see in the next month, month and a half, I know things take time, that I will have an invitation to meet the principal, see what her mission statement is, see what's going to happen with the school, because I feel like I don't want to go to her and say, are you going to say, meet me? You know, are we going to have a gathering? And I think it's a really valid complaint. So that's why I'm here, and I have a letter that I can give to you, so you have my contact information, and maybe we can communicate on that. But I think this is a big failure of communication. When I met Hal Hurd, I met him because there was another failure of communication. Romulus schools are building the reputation, but communication is everything. In a marriage, in a friendship, in a community, we need to fix this.
Yes, we do.
So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you can just pass it to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, were there any other, okay. You could just get the mic and then, Mr. McLaughlin, are we, you two?
Yes, Ms.
Okay.
West.
I'm sorry, yeah, I know I didn't follow protocol and fill out the form and what have you, but I'd like to say something that I do want you to take personally, because I have 44 years invested in this district. Not only that, but I was literally born on Wayne Road, 6482 South Wayne Road, and when I moved out of Romulus a few years ago, I resided at 6700 Washington. So I feel like there's not just a professional investment, there's a personal investment. I look at you as a board, and I think about history. And I'm going to include you in this, Mr. McLaughlin, because part of what I'm going to address and speak to, you were part of the history and the decision that was made about 6 or 7 years ago. If I recall, you as a board adopted some non-negotiable goals. I don't remember them all, but I know that your focus was on student achievement. It was on quality of instruction, fiscal responsibility, creating a college culture for our students, and if I recall, the last being parent involvement. All right?
It was the achievement gap.
Okay, closing the achievement gap. But I know it was something like that, but you have to excuse me because I'm an old lady and sometimes I do forget things. But I want to speak to history. And that history made us at one time a very viable district, okay? I know that as board members, the decisions that you've made in the past and the decision that you made tonight was not based on nepotism or cronyism, because I think each one of you are intellectually astute, and you would never allow that to enter into any decision that you made, meaning in the best interest of our district. I look around, I see that, I think it was at last month's meeting, you appointed Molly Garcia. I'll get it right. Like I said, I'm an old lady. In the position of Special Ed Director. Gary Banas was here and he left, and being a member of, or head of the REA, has formed, I think, a very wonderful working relationship with the board. I mean, we've received some national recognition as a result of your continued partnership and relationship. I think what we need to do is to think about how we can become, again, a viable district. I remember as a teacher at Wick School, we had people coming from all over the world, India, China, European countries, coming to Romulus because we were forerunners in technology. We need to get back there again, okay? And we don't get it by making, how do you put it, unpopular decisions. We don't get it by, well, let me take a look here. I see here that there was a personnel action, the personnel action submitted by Rebecca Peck, Director of Human Resources, who has decided, I'm hoping, to stick and stay with us, because when I look here and I see resignations after resignations after resignations, we're losing quality people. Literally losing quality people. And this has happened at just about every single one of our board meetings. I'm looking at the personnel actions that are taken. Let's see, bills for payment submitted by Anna Bositas. Thank you for sticking and staying, Anna Bositas, because we need people with a history. And I applaud you for making the decision that you made tonight to put Margie McAnally in the position of interim superintendent, because not only does she come with history, but a track record. She knows where we've been, she knows where we need to go, and I think that the decision that you made tonight kind of supports that. Not kind of, it does support that. And so, again, I just want to applaud you again for having the vision to get us back on track to becoming the viable district that we once were. We cannot afford to lose any more employees in this district. With that being said, I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. West.
Thank you.
I don't have a sheet in front of me, but the next person that wanted to speak is Mr. McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and sorry I didn't go through the process of filling out a form. I'm not going to be at your next meeting this month, but, you know, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse for anything that you're going to do. No, I'm not going to take any pot shots. No, I'm not going to get political. But January is School Board Member Recognition Month. Thank you for representing our children. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was very nice.
Okay, next on our agenda is questions and or concerns from board members, and I'll start like we traditionally do at the end and work our way around. Mr. Kudrick? do you have
Not at
anything?
this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Bowles?
None today.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Kraut?
Sooner the month is a little later than usual, so it'll be 2 weeks from tomorrow. But
on the calendar, so I'll just remind people. It's- At the high school, Student of the Month is 2 weeks from Tuesday, tomorrow.
Just welcome, Ms. McNally.
I do have one thing. I just want to get back to the Inkster High School issue. So what is our, I guess once our next step, I just want to know what our next steps are. So our next step is you speaking with the mayor to see if they are interested. So when will you be coming back with us? Can you give us maybe a time that you might be able to get back with us and let us know what that conversation is or turns out to be? I notice I'm just really hitting you, but
The
hit
list
the
is
ground
getting
running.
The list is getting long.
But I was just kind of, trying to see where we were, if it's something we need to do right now, is it something we need to do next month?
I can update the board a little bit. I didn't want to step on Representative Geis's toes or the
Yeah, I
attention
kinda need
that
some
his
clarification.
intent was. But Dr. Daniels asked me to sit in on the meeting with Mayor Hilliard from Inkster, so I did have an opportunity to meet with him and have that dialogue with Dr. Daniels. And we all walked out of that meeting understanding that we don't want to immediately dismantle and destroy everything that is meaningful to the community of Inkster. They are now part of our community. We serve many of the families. So I would encourage the board to consider that when we're thinking about our next steps. But with that said, we also walked out of that meeting understanding that time is of the essence. If this legislation comes through, this is one-time money. We are going to need, we impressed upon the mayor that actions have to be taken, and we can't wait for the slow political process to occur. If you've got people that you can call on and say, this is what we need to do, this is how we need to finance this is what, you need to do it now, because this Board of Education is going to need to make a decision in the next 60 days. So we all walked out of there understanding that. As far as the cost of operating Inkster at this point, we've winterized the property. Because again, respecting the community of Inkster and the families that are now our families, we did not want to disrespect the building in the event that the city, along with another action group that we met with that's interested in developing a relationship with that property as well. We didn't want that building to go to seed. We didn't want any pipes bursting. We did pay for the cost of the winterization. The gas the water is shut off, the gas is shut off. Took us a little bit longer because we did need to maintain the fire system for code regulations, as I found out. Moving forward, we had to convert it to a dry system. We thought we could just shut it down because it's not occupied, but apparently you can't do that. We did get it, we are in the final phases of getting that winterized though and shut down. So the costs are going to be relatively low. And if with this legislation coming through, it looks like the way it's written, I hope it goes through the way it's written, because it does allow us to use that money towards the cost of managing and maintaining that building up to date. But Mayor understands, as well as the other group, that time is of the essence. If they're going to take ownership of that property, we can't afford to be part of that partnership financially, but we're happy to work with them to get them into an ownership position of the property.
So we did tell them, had to
We
be
said,
within 60 days.
we've all walked out of there understanding that within 60 days, we're going to have to come to some decisions here.
Okay, I just kind of, I
but-
wanted to be clear on where our next
That was
steps will
60
be and
days
where we
from
were.
that meeting, right?
Yeah, that was in December.
Okay.
Like maybe mid-December,
Okay,
right
maybe
before
we can
Dr.
follow up and
Daniels.
find out, let them know that the clock's still ticking here.
And that's what I'll update Mrs. McAnally, and we'll get with the mayor.
Because I know that building does have a lot of historical, and I
does.
know a lot of meaning to those people in Inkster, I do know that. So
We're
I just
working-
kind of wanted to know, we will have to definitely see where they're at and just weigh out our options, what's actually best, and put in mind, we still have to do what's best for our district and our students.
And we don't know what the mayor has plans for, too.
Right.
Maybe something for the city, who knows?
Because even with us spending money on it, yeah, it has connection to the community over there. I understand that, but by spending money on that, we're taking money from the students that are over here
Exactly.
too.
Right.
We can't
And that's their
sustain.
students too.
We
from-
can't sustain.
So-
They need to take ownership, and they know that they need to take ownership and then financial responsibility.
You know, just what, before Ms. Bell speaks,
tell you that the mayor has been aggressively trying to reach someone here. I didn't know when you had your meetings, but I tried to call him back to tell him that, you know, today, to tell him that there was not, that there was an interim superintendent probably going to be, you know, appointed tonight, and then they would get back to him tomorrow. And he happened to be talking to his attorney when I called him, and he said, "I'll get right back to you," but he didn't. But he had left about 4 messages over last week, and
Okay.
and not only him, but then the city manager from Inkster, along with the treasurer. So they are aggressively pursuing Romulus. And I did call her back and tell her that tomorrow we might know who.
One of them's got $1 over there, don't they? One of them's got $1, right?
I mean, and it says,
But they
If
gotta
they
be
need
able to
ashtrays, they can find 4
but
quarters.
is it,
Realized that Rebecca had met with them, so.
is that something that we can maybe address again too with the phone coming in? Because
me.
I've called too, and I just get the answer machine, and then if we have Miss Webb sitting out front still, don't we? I mean, do we have capability of somebody answering the phone? I mean, not, I know because we switched everything over, but can we relook at this about having a line to talk to? Because, I mean, especially if you are a parent, you need to talk to somebody, and pressing 1 just gets you to another voice machine. So can we maybe look at this about maybe having somebody physically pick up the phone, one certain number again?
You
If
know,
we can.
it also comes back to the phone system itself
Right.
and how the phone system operates, because the system is so out of date. I mean, we have an E-rate out on it again. Again, we've put it out for E-rate. But I don't know if we'll have the money, the portion that we would need. You know, we're aligning ourselves in the event. I mean, our phone system is very much like the products that you were seeing, the chillers and whatnot. It's about to fall over and die as well. I mean, it's way beyond, it's about 15 years beyond its useful life. So we'll look into it again to see if there's ways that we can expedite that. But again, I go back to, if we turn that system on, then it breaks other systems that we can't repair within the buildings. And that's the crux of the problem. It's like we have to decide what's the lesser of 2 evils. Is it not being able to get a hold of the buildings right off the bat with 1 phone call? Or is it not being able to get into a board, the board office with 1 phone call without going through the phone system?
And maybe too, like Ms. Leach said, I know some of the schools do like the donut for dads or their moms. Maybe we can do something with the principals to, because, you know, once again, we're gonna have a vacancy now with the interim principal at Rommel. And then we're gonna have that same situation, of parents coming in and say, wow, what happened to our principal? So maybe we can set up something with all the schools, maybe just a little breakfast with the principal, like a little coffee with the principal, and set a date and have, if parents wanna come in. Because a lot of parents just drop the kids off. If they didn't make conference, they're not gonna see the principal, but, you know, they just dropped the kids off. But maybe in the future, in the next couple, maybe month, and let's set a date where maybe principals can be accessible in the morning for like a little coffee with the principal or something with parents.
Good idea.
Maybe?
It's a good idea.
If I can give a little bit of input to that, as a parent and grandparent and a working parent, please try to make it a daytime available and an evening
Right.
available invitation, because we have so many working families.
Yeah.
And at least give them the opportunity to make that choice.
That's cool.
So 2 different opportunities, because
Mhm.
you're not, having 2 different meeting opportunities for our parents who are
Right.
either
Yeah, like a day
depending
and an
upon their
afternoon.
working
Day and
schedules.
Well, as far as the phones go, I looked all you guys up, and I know why your numbers aren't there. I mean, you don't want your numbers, but all you guys know each other, so I called the city, and the city gave me the number here.
Are you talking about our board, our numbers?
I wanted to know if I could come and talk, so I called the
Oh.
city. The city just gave me the number to the Board of Education, which is the press 1, press 2. You know what I mean? So it's like you're being really rerouted everywhere.
Oh.
I don't know if on the Board of Education website you have 1 general number, 1 mailbox, but there's, like, you're lost trying to find where to go.
And just so you know, all of our meetings are public meetings, so if you want to come and you have a concern or have an issue that you want addressed, we meet on the 2nd and 4th Mondays of the month, unless we fall like on a holiday, but we're here. And as of lately, we've been having a lot of special meetings too, so
always
I feel like I, got a cut out in the back. But you're more than welcome to come, if, just come and fill out a sheet.
I mean, I have no objection on our website to put my cell number. I'm listed anyway, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
next to
listed.
my name, you can. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else?
Nope.
Okay, I did have, this is more of, and it's not even a concern. We lost a very dear staff member over the holiday break. Robin Frazier, she was our adult education supervisor. She passed, and it was really a surprise. I had to kind of read the email a couple of times because I was just like, wow. She was young. She has, a teenager still at the high school and a daughter who's like 21. And so I just wanted to inform our community that, we did have a loss within our school community. And if you think about them, send a few prayers up for the family. And if you know them, the family, reach out to them. Oftentimes, I read something a few days ago where they asked the question, is there anything that I can do? And they almost questioned, is there anything I can do? Because you're so bombarded with just the grieving process. It's like whatever you could do it's something. And so to have that question asked, it's like, wow, I'm just trying to deal with the grieving process, let alone do I need something? Yeah, I need it, but trying to communicate it or reach out, they were encouraging people to reach in and to help. So send some prayers up for the Frazier Smith family. And that's it. I didn't have anything else. Oh, we do. I have to get the dates. I don't have the dates. We have a financial aid night coming up January. I want to say it's this week, Tuesday. But it's posted. It should be posted on our website. I guess that's it for me. So if there isn't anything else,
Madam Chair, make a motion for adjournment.
Support.
all right. Moved by Mr. Kudrick, supported by Ms. Buckley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.